So I don't think I've ever had licorice before. If I did, I don't remember what it tastes like, so I'm gonna try some right now. Not very good. Hi everyone, this is Josh, and today we're going to talk about the new PTA film, Licorice Pizza. As a quick heads up, this review will contain some minor spoilers, so if you want to go into Licorice Pizza not knowing anything at all, it's probably best that you watch that film first and then come back here. If you want to hear my final thoughts without any spoilers, you can do that by clicking on this part of the video where you can see my score. There's your warning. 3, 2, 1. This film was written and directed by well-known American filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson. You might have heard of him. He's made lots of great films in the past, including The Master, There Will Be Blood, and Phantom Thread. Licorice Pizza is his 9th film. It stars newcomer Alana Haim, who's in the band Haim. The entire Haim family is actually in the film, and it also stars newcomer Cooper Hoffman, who's the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, a phenomenal actor and frequent collaborator of Paul Thomas Anderson, who is no longer with us, unfortunately. But Licorice Pizza is a pretty strange film. It was one of the weirdest films I saw in 2021 that I do think is good, but with a pretty big asterisk. Licorice Pizza is a coming-of-age tale that takes place in the San Fernando Valley in the 1970s that follows Alana Kane and Gary Valentine. After the two strike an unlikely friendship, shenanigans ensue as their relationship ebbs and flows. So this is definitely not one of Paul Thomas Anderson's career-defining films like There Will Be Blood or Boogie Nights. It's mostly just a hangout film that reads to me as a collage of someone's memories of random fleeting moments of their adolescence. The story of this film is loosely based off of different ideas and events from the youth of Paul Thomas Anderson and his friend/producer Gary Getzman, who was involved in a variety of entrepreneurial endeavors like owning a pinball arcade, a PR firm, and selling waterbeds, which is a very important part of the plot. Because this is a personal story, it feels very peculiar with how it references very specific things from the 70s in Los Angeles, like the oil embargo, the mayoral candidacy of Joel Wax, or even the title of the film, which is based off of a long-gone record store. I liked how the film doesn't look back on Hollywood or fame and power with rose-colored glasses necessarily. This film is sort of like Paul Thomas Anderson's own version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but instead of it being an homage, it feels more like Paul Thomas Anderson pulling the curtain back to reveal the ugly and self-absorbed personalities behind it. There's a lot of characters who are loosely based off of real-life celebrities in this film. Bradley Cooper's character comes to mind, who has a very notable cameo in the film as Hollywood producer John Peters. His volatile presence leads to one of the best sequences in the film. It's pretty funny and even kind of intense. Now, because the story plays out like a series of messy memories, I will say that it doesn't always feel like the different elements of the plot connect really well, but I feel like the film's loose approach to how it structures the story is meant to reflect the restlessness of the main characters as they explore who they are and what they want to do or don't want to do with their life. It's very unpredictable as they sort of enter, leave, and then re-enter each other's lives. It's unclear if they'll grow apart or stay connected. The weird situations they get into often are funny. I especially love the scene when Alana's being evaluated by an eccentric talent agent played by a very funny Harriet Sansom Harris. She takes a call in the middle of this evaluation and doesn't even say like, "Hi" or "Hello, who's this?" She just keeps saying, "No," repeatedly, and then starts laughing manically like she's in a straitjacket or something. After she hangs up the phone, she pretends like nothing weird ever happened, and then Alana tells her that she can speak French, Spanish, Hebrew, and Portuguese. It's a funny scene. All the actors who play small roles in this film are pretty excellent. Sean Penn was great as Jack or William Holden. I also love Benny Safdie as Joel Wax. He really nails the whole uptight, trained politician persona. But the big standouts here performance-wise are Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman, who are both pretty much excellent throughout the whole film. I like that they're not these super polished, high-profile stars. They seem like everyday people. Now that I'm on the topic of the main characters, I think it's probably time that I bring up the big asterisk I mentioned earlier. It's the fact that Alana, a 25-year-old, is dating Gary, who is 15. I'm kind of surprised that the film hasn't gotten more heat for this aspect of the story. I think there's a possibility that it could have been put under more scrutiny had the sexes of the main characters been switched. And to be clear, I don't want this film to get canceled. I'm not trying to generate some faux outrage. I just think there's a possibility that this film might not be getting more criticism because of the fact that Paul Thomas Anderson directed it, who is this filmmaker with an excellent filmography, with an excellent track record. I totally agree that Paul Thomas Anderson is a genius, but I also don't think that he's beyond criticism. And I think sometimes he might make inappropriate decisions that I feel are unnecessary. Because so many critics weren't bothered by this romance, I took it upon myself to watch this film a second time to see if I missed something that doesn't make this romance weird. Most critics have rightly cited that this relationship is mostly platonic and innocent outside of that one scene where Alana flashes Gary, which was pretty weird. It is true that Alana isn't drawn to Gary because she finds him attractive. She's drawn to him because she finds fulfillment in all the adventures she gets into when she's around him. It's implied that Alana doesn't have a lot of unique life experiences at the beginning of the film, living sort of a mundane existence. But as soon as she meets Gary, she discovers this newfound confidence as a result of all these experiences with him that leads to all of these new opportunities. And while Gary, being a typical teenager, is definitely sexually motivated to some extent, I think he likes having Alana around because of her maturity. She's able to keep his self-importance and arrogance in check, and she also genuinely cares about his well-being. I think what Paul Thomas Anderson was trying to do with this unorthodox romance is sort of have a natural push and pull effect between these characters, and the maturity of Alana versus Gary helps drive that dynamic. I never got the impression that the film was endorsing relationships with minors, nor did I think Alana was being predatory or grooming Gary. The thing that critics seem to be missing is that Paul Thomas Anderson could have gotten the same point across had he made Gary like 18 and made Alana like 26 or 27 or something. Some people say this age gap is meant to reflect how common underage relationships were at the time, which could be true, but again, I still feel like you could have gotten the same point across if Gary was 18. Another part of the film that I thought was a little problematic was how John Michael Higgins' character speaks to his Japanese wives in Japanese accented English. I understand that this whole shtick is meant to show how many older white guys in power back in the day were probably a little racist, but because it's not that funny and the scene feels a little unnecessary, it ends up coming across as kind of tasteless. Licorice Pizza is just a strange film. I did really enjoy it, and I think it's well made. It has an excellent soundtrack. The cinematography, while not perfect, is still very good. Again, I don't think this film was trying to be creepy or offensive. I just think it's someone's honest memory of what the 70s and the San Fernando Valley was like according to them, which resulted in some choices that, in my opinion, felt a little inappropriate. I still think it's one of the better films that came out in 2021. The competition's not that great, but still, this is a pretty good Paul Thomas Anderson film. I'm going to give Licorice Pizza a 3.5 out of 5. Thanks for watching this review, guys. I really appreciate it. Keep an eye out for a video I'll be doing about how I did a sound treatment for this room. I just put some acoustic foams in, so the echo that was really irritating me is a little nullified now. I might also do a breakdown of the recent Oscar nominations for Best Picture and what I thought was good, what I thought wasn't good, what I think will win and what should win and all that kind of stuff. Until then, stay warm, keep an eye out for new content, and I will see you later. Take it easy.